I'm now past 60 and I'm moving my way up. And I can tell you this, that I get asked all the time, how would you live your life differently? What would you tell your 20-something-year-old self? What would you change in your life if you could start all over again? And my first answer is always this one. I would tell people, stop living a life of expectation and start living a life of intention. Stop living your life out of obligation for what other people expect of you, and start living a life of intention for what God wants for you. When I look back over my life, the moments that I regret, those seasons in my life that I wish I could have back over again, those years that at times I felt were lost, is because I was living my life as a life of obligation. And as what I've learned over this lifetime is that I need to stop living a life of obligation and start living a life of intention. And what you find is that people who live in the fullness that they're created to live in refuse to conform to the expectations of others. And if you could say that from the positive end, they stay unique. Do not sacrifice your God-given uniqueness to be accepted by people who will not accept you the way God designed you to be. Be who you are. Be who you're created to be. Step into the intention that God created you for and step into that with full confidence. In Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it says this, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. I think a lot of times people who do not understand how the relationship works with Jesus, they think that Christianity is about conforming. It's about standardization. It's about becoming the same. But I want you to realize that here actually, that God is saying the exact opposite. He's saying when we live our lives outside of him, when we live our lives outside of the freedom that we have in Jesus, we end up conforming to the pattern of this world. We end up becoming like everyone else. We end up giving up our God-given uniqueness just so that we can be accepted and loved by people who should accept us as God created us. So he says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed. See, God does not want you to become a conformist. God wants you to be transformed. And that, by the way, is crazy good. You can actually begin to live a life that will make people think you're out of your mind because you refuse to become less and you always choose to become more. I want to ask you right now, are you an expression of what other people expect you to be? Or are you an expression of who God created you to become? Are you staying unique? Are you realizing that God did not make a mistake when he made you different? And the beauty of who you are, the wonder of who you are, is not in those things where you're the same. It's in those things where you're different, where you're unique. It's what makes you uniquely human.